Hi, this is Chris, and so we're on the fourth phase of the container vegetable, herb, and fruit tree project here in the backyard. Again, we're taking nursery containers. They could be even smaller containers, number 15s. This is a number 20-gallon container. And we're taking them and filling them with readily available starter plant material. Yes, great to germinate stuff from seed, but I'm like your average Joe. I ain't got time for it. I want to find a plant that's ready to go. We'll start putting some seeds in these pots and letting nature take its course. So I like to put seed in, put it down, let it grow or not. Anyways, we're going to do the first project, which is taking an overgrown olive tree, and because of the size of the tree, we're going to put in our larger herbs. These smaller herbs of basil, thyme, oregano, a few others, they're more petite, not as aggressive growing. They need their own container. They'll get overrun by the bigger growing herbs. So I've got a number 5-gallon. It's not literally 5 gallons, it's our nursery term for these containers. A number 5 Mission olive tree. It's been pruned back because it's really overgrown. But I picked it out from my friend who grows these for his orchard. It's got a huge trunk on it. 12 months time, it'll be a beautiful tree bearing a lot of fruit, and it'll be a very unique specimen at an early age because of this nice trunk. Not a normal number 5 Mission tree. So typically it's going to be very overgrown. Going to have to knock the soil back with the shovel, pull it out, rough up with a tool or your hands the root ball so you get these roots growing out. Otherwise they'll just start growing around and around. They won't flush real quick. I'm wearing gloves. Yes, they're kind of cutie, but they're not leather gloves. I don't like leather gloves for working in the garden. I use those when I'm doing other heavy-duty work. I tear up my hands quite a bit. And these are great. You get them soaking wet. The rubber protects the part of your hand that's getting the abuse. Cotton lets your hand breathe on the top. And it's in the mid-90s today. So, get some glove like this, very flexible latex on the bottom, breathing cotton top. I'm going to take our olive tree. Again, part of the project is aesthetics. Going to rotate it to where we would see it from the window. Nice triple branch display. I've got my coarse Kellogg's Grow Mulch in here. We're going to get the soil up to about this level of the tree. Eventually, probably have to even get it a little bit more higher now. Want this tree to set a little bit above the container line and the line of the other plants that are going in here. And I have my larger herbs. I've got my Tricolor Sage. Again, rough up the roots a little bit. Want them growing out into the pot. I've got a low-growing prostrate rosemary. It's going to wind up trailing and hanging over the edge of the pot. Very good herb and going to be very attractive container plant. To balance things out, I've got a beautiful English lavender here. I'm going to leave it to my talented wife to come up with a recipe for a little bit of lavender that is in it. That fit in on the side. Again, just kind of naturally growing together. Gonna look very beautiful when we're done and smell great and be usable in the kitchen. In the back, I have my upright rosemary. I'm not sure if there's a taste difference in the kitchen between the low-growing prostrate form and this upright form. We can see the differences, though, aside from the direction of growth. Foliage on the upright, much denser and much longer and thicker. So there may indeed be some significant flavor aspects to that. We'll explore that in the kitchen. I've got them planted. This is about as much as you want to put in here for the herbs. Each will fill out about double their size, no problem. I'm going to toss in a little bit of color in here after a couple days. I love dark blues and purples and fuchsias and pinks. I'm going to add some color to that. To the side, I've got my fine material to finish this off with. Again, some amends, something just to kind of get in there. It's a little bit of coarse material mixed into this. The closer to the top we get, the more fine material I'll add. My goal is to get as many worms, soil worms, good worms growing in here as possible. And keep this well draining. There's no gravel in this container because down here it's got side holes for the water to drain out. If this pot was indeed more, if we were using a large pot that was like this, where all of our drainage is only on the bottom, yes, we probably want to fill first 2 inches of this with some gravel to increase that drainage. But I already know from the millions of plants grown in Santa Barbara, LA, Ventura County, elsewhere in these plastic tubs, that it'll grow excellent in here just the way it is. But if there were no holes in the side, yes, put the gravel in there and then raise the container up 1 inch or so. Make sure that you're getting that soil planting mix trimmed into all the empty openings here. That's why it's nice to have some good gloves on. Not worried about all the stuff getting into your fingers and nails and stuff. I got my olive tree in here. You can see there's a little bit of root mass right there. That root mass is still above the soil line of the other plant material. I'm going to finish that off with a nice couple scoops more potting mix. Olive oil, olive trees, citrus, avocado, you always want to plant them a little bit higher in their pots. If you happen to be choosing a palm for some reason, plant it lower. And you can put any primary tree in here as focus. Beautiful palm, citrus, avocado, whatever it is in your region, plum, any of the fruit trees. It's not going to interfere with your herb garden. First thing I do, now I got the soil in there, is to get it flushed down with some water. You cannot overwater this container or any container the first couple of days for sure. It's amazing how much dry earth I would find in here if I was just to do a simple watering after the first day. It just takes a lot of water to get this soaking wet. And that's what we want. We want to get this hose shoved down along the root balls of these plants. Want just a big soupy mess. Anyways, you should probably spend about 10 minutes jetting the sides of all these plants, getting that water in there. Again, just soup. Should just weigh a ton when you're done. And it really won't be done until the water is coming out the bottom of all these side holes, bottom of the container. That aside, we're just going to leave that running for a little bit right here. As messy as it'll be, it still won't be too much. Next step is to add a little bit of fertilizer. These plants are not needing a lot of nitrogen, just a small amount. So I've got my Grow Power. It's only 5% nitrogen. Just a little bit of handful in the Grow Power. Sprinkle it in here. I'm going to take my hands and mush it down into the mix. Grow Power is not a fertilizer you want sitting on the foliage of the plants. I'm going to get that watered and moved in there. Never leave any fertilizers sitting on the foliage of your plants during a hot period of or intense sun time, but especially a lot of the dry ones. There are foliar fertilizers, Miracle Grow and all that stuff. I avoid them whenever possible. I only want to foliar feed my micronutrients on citrus and avocados, and iron on plants that are suffering from chlorosis. It's not needed at this moment, but I will show you how to finish this off. A little bit of gypsum. Key to the long-term health of your container. You really can't use too much gypsum. It won't burn the plants. I suppose we dump the whole bag in here, probably wouldn't be very positive. That's not what I mean by overusing. Gypsum will help get all the salts leached out of the pot. Get a little bit more, distribute it more evenly. And we're just going to wash it into the soil. Calcium carbonate or gypsum has a unique chemistry to it that allows it to loosen up sodium or salts from the soil, slip in there, and help that salt molecules of salt then leach out of the container. Done effectively, it needs to be powdered and needs a lot of water. So it's a great first step for our pot. Again, you're going to get that water down in there deep. Hideous mess when we're done. And that's our specimen olive tree planting. Maybe necessary to come back and readjust our olive tree after the end of the day, after things settle. But I assure you, when we get to putting the bedding plant in here, we're going to put 4 plants in here probably, it's going to look very beautiful, very functional. And if you have a person that likes to use the kitchen a lot, it's going to be quite tasty.